You're live, sir.
Holy shit, I didn't even hear that. All right,
Yeah.
guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all you savages. It's the one and only Gorilla. He is the cowboy. It's Algo Factory. You know where to find us, algofactory.tech. Algofactory.tech. The link is in the description box. Cowboy's going to flash that QR code. You better join. It's 2024. Chaos is here, and it's off with a bang. Epstein client list, false flag operations, markets going up and down. Is the Fed going to be a dove? It's going to be a hawk. Are the Davos nut jobs going to go for broke and set off a thermonuclear war? Whatever the hell is going on, I'm telling you right now, all the action is in the market. When elites want to move money, they do it in the market. When elites want to move capital, whether it's from the United States to God knows where, it's all done in the markets first. The market has a language. The market is speaking. The market talks to you before world events even happen. And you want to get a hold of, you want to take advantage of that. AlgoFactory.tech is the place where you not only learn the technicals and the fundamentals, but you learn the macro as well as some serious forecasting that we do here, right here on AlgoFactory.tech that nobody else, your mama's trading channel, don't do that. Your trading channel you follow on Telegram with Billy Bob, it don't do that. You get it right here, AlgoFactory.tech for $1.66 a day. $1.66 for less than the price of a bottle of water. You can join us and make a damn difference this year in 2024. No screwing around. Balls to the wall. Let's get it. Let's make some money. With that being said, Cowboy, good morning.
Trading so good, you want to slap your mama.
Trading so good you want to slap your mama. That's
Yeah,
right.
man. So that was quite the intro. Interesting weekend for Bitcoin. Just watching the charts, and everything was so bullish, but the volume was so low. It was one of those things where, Bitcoin just wanted to pop up, and then that last minute before it looked like it was going to pop up in price, it actually took a nice fall. And of course, I sat there, I was watching it. I'm like, yeah, I think someone's going to make a mistake and go long right here. I'm going to hang back. So we'll take a quick look at that chart. Also, I don't know if I'm going to be doing it during this show. I might have to do a separate show a little bit later regarding Boeing. I think there might be an opportunity with Boeing. So we'll talk
If
about
it's
that.
a
I mean,
Boeing, I ain't going, bro.
yeah, well, dude, I know the
You know,
737 Max had so many problems. They had the battery
It's
issue.
it's not only that. Everybody's focusing on the 737 Max. People, let me tell you the pickle that Boeing's in. Boeing used to be one of my favorite. I'm an aviation buff as well as
Yeah,
a
my
car.
mother-in-law was a Boeing mechanic for like 30 years or
Yeah,
something like that, bro.
yeah, yeah. Boeing was one of my favorite companies. Right, one of my favorite aerospace companies. You have iconic aircraft that Boeing's manufactured. The 707, which was the airline that perfected the first real transcontinental jet airliner, the 707. I mean, it wasn't the first jet powered airline. That'll be the de Havilland Comet. But you have the 707, the 727, the 737, the original one before the whole Max 9 bullshit, which there was no reason for a 737 Max, right? First of all, the 737 should have been retired a long time ago. That's on the top for
Well,
another
it
day.
seems like they're trying
Iconic.
to. It's like they're trying to
But
retread it.
yeah, because they're out of fucking ideas. Because I'll tell you what happened, right? They had all these iconic aircraft, the 747, the incredible, 767, and of course, one of my other favorites, the 777, the 777, right? Phenomenal aircraft. These were all created when Boeing was an engineering company. What occurred, I think it was like in the mid 90s or late 90s, or maybe even early odds. I don't remember the exact date. But the merger, when Boeing bought out McDonnell Douglas, McDonnell
Hmm.
Douglas was a poorly run outfit. They were never made any money. The products were shit. They used to be good, but it was turned into shit. Nothing worked right in McDonnell Douglas. And then Boeing thought, hey, you know what? We want to get into the more of the defense contracting, especially the fighter end of it with fighter jets, because McDonnell Douglas did make the F-15, right? The venerable McDonnell Douglas F-15. They hit it out of the ballpark with that one. Amazing airframe, right? But when Boeing bought McDonnell Douglas towards the tail end of McDonnell Douglas, after the F-15, after McDonnell Douglas had a team of idiots who only cared about what the stock price of McDonnell Douglas was, right? So the funny thing what Boeing did is Boeing bought them out and then put the team that ran McDonnell Douglas into the ground, put that team in charge of Boeing. It was the most stupidest thing. And it went from being an engineering focused company into a marketing and stock focused company. Okay. And their stocks went through the roof, but their quality went down. Again, Boeing is another example of what happens when you have a company that actually makes shit becomes a victim to the fire economy, right? The speculative economy, right? Finance, insurance, and real estate. It fell victim to that, right? All they cared about was the Boeing share price. And now, guys, it's not just the 737 MAX, which the damn airframe should have been retired 20 years ago, right? It's not just that. It's also the 787 Dreamliner, which, if you look up right now, they're still grounded. They're still grounded. And
Yeah, see that's dude, I flew on one of those. It was nice, bro. Like the experience I had on that was nice, but apparently they have some issues, don't they?
Massive issues because it was going to be hybridized and uses an electric power in order to help it taxi from the terminal.
Why, bro? It's stupid. Like you don't do. It's look the electrical power for aviation, like the amount of weight that you have to add. Electric power requires heavy ass batteries, bro. You're in airplanes, you cannot have heavy batteries. It just is not a good idea, bro.
Correct. The 787s have been grounded. They were grounded all last year. I think they're still grounded. Problematic aircraft. And now they're having delays with the 777X, which is their extended range, bigger with the folding wingtips, right? The 777X. That's also running into massive problems. This has just been a nightmare for Boeing. There's a massive opportunity to short the shit out of them. Airbus is eating their lunch. Rightfully so. Boeing went woke and all about marketing. They deserve what's coming to them. Go ahead, Cowboy.
Oh, sure. I mean, I was going to save that for the private group, but I guess we're going to do it now. So let's actually look at the chart on Boeing because I'm going to take a look at some areas where price could head down to and head up to. So you got to understand about Boeing is that they are part of okay, so back in the banking issue that we had like last year, there was a lot of talk about strategically important banks, right? So you're talking about B of A, you're talking about, Wells Fargo, all the too big to fail type situations, right? These banks that are part of the system that have to be supported. Well, this Boeing is one of the many companies that are part of the military industrial complex, and they have that same kind of profile in that they'll be protected. I mean, let me tell you what, if Boeing goes down without like a merger or without some kind of exit plan, if Boeing just like goes down all of a sudden, that means that like the US is going down. I mean, I'm not saying that's absolute, but I'm saying there's a really good if Boeing went down without like, hey, Boeing's getting bought out by so and so, and then Boeing just kind of like gets put out to pasture gently, then yeah, I would say that's a sign that our country is really falling apart because Boeing will be protected. Looking at the chart right now, you're looking at a pre-market open. So you have right now the price closed at 248. And the the market's going to open at 231. So you're looking at what is that, like almost a 10% drop in the overnight, and that's pre-market selling. So that's where the price is right now. And whenever you see a gap like that, it's not a good sign. And we actually saw a bunch of gaps like that the last few days. When did that Boeing thing happen? When did that door fall off? Because we haven't even talked about even in the show right now. So what actually happened? Just to get everybody caught up with the news.
It wasn't even a door; it was a panel. It wasn't even an emergency. It wasn't even an emergency exit. It was just a panel of an aircraft near the wing that just blew wide open.
So I thought it was an emergency exit.
No, I thought it was too. Then you see the video, you realize it wasn't an emergency exit. It was just a regular row seating, and the door blew out. And
just a panel, just a piece of the frame. Look, this looks like a door to me. This is on Zero Hedge. It's a door blowout incident.
It looks like a door, but
that looked like a door, bro.
It does, but it's that's what I thought as well. And then people are like, I saw the video from inside the aircraft where people are like, it's not even an emergency exit. And then you see the inside, there's nothing in there that says emergency exit. So it's a
Okay.
regular row. I don't know what that panel was for. Maybe for this particular configuration,
You know what it could be
depending on
is
how
that
the airline.
this maybe it was like, you know how if you look at a car and you have maybe an area that could be for a door, but in this particular
Correct.
aircraft, it's not. They didn't put a door there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there's
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, because if you look at the seat right there in this photo, the seat's pretty close to the seat in front of it. That doesn't look like an emergency exit with the
No,
seat being
it's
that
not.
close. So it could have been
Correct.
that that was the fuselage was made for that to have a door there for certain configuration, but perhaps they just had a panel in there, you know?
Bingo.
Um, yeah, that's my guess. If that's not a door, then it
And
was
dude, this
stamped to
this
be a door.
plane was delivered brand new to Alaska Airlines on October 27th, 2023. So this is
Bro.
fresh off the factory. So in other words, there's no pressurization, checks or fuselage stress test that needs to be done because it was already supposed to be done from the factory.
Yeah, you know what, dude? If we're getting to that
Unbelievable.
point, if we're at that point where we're not testing our freaking airplanes, bro, how do you not test your airplane before it goes in the air?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's
People
what
are,
happened. I don't know. We're just making assumptions here. We're not in the factory, so we don't want to say something too far out of school. But
yeah.
how does this
You want to know the
happen,
funny thing
man?
is? The worst part of all this DEI stuff, the diversity, inclusion, and equity and inclusion bullshit, right? The
You're
DEI
racist,
hiring
bro. You're
practices.
you're a racist.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, it's a big problem with air traffic controllers. We've had so many close calls within the last year in air traffic control. You have idiots who can barely, fog a mirror while writing their name. Right now, telling aircraft how to land. That's number one. Number two, you have morons who shouldn't be pilots who are pilots now because a lot of these pilots are mysteriously suddenly dropping dead for some strange reason. Must be
Yeah,
climate.
and let's back up a little bit because V the Gorilla here is a person of color, and the thing about DEI is not that it's like we're not saying that people of color are the problem. We're saying that when you hire for anything besides merit, that's when you have a problem. So go
Correct.
ahead, V. Go ahead.
That's the problem. 100%. If I'm going in for brain surgery, I want the best brain surgeon. I don't want the
Yeah,
nurse coming in. Listen, we have this new brain surgeon. He's amazing, Dr. Tyrone. 10 years ago, he was just an orderly at the hospital. Now Dr. Tyrone's going to be operating on you.
yeah.
What are your
Hey, look,
qualifications? You
If
don't have to
Doctor
give me any
Tyrone
college.
was top of his class, I want Doctor
I'll
Tyrone.
take
Like
Dr. Tyrone.
hell
Right?
yeah,
Don't
if
give me
it's all
Dr.
about
Tyrone because his only qualifications is because he's black.
that's
Nope.
the point. Yeah, it's got to be. Did you score better than everybody else? I don't give a shit what color your skin is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this what's happening in the aviation industry. And dude, this is a lot of experts are saying we are overdue for a major air disaster in this country. Sad to say, and Congress, which are the most useless gaggle of morons that has never reversed a single any law or program that has been put in place, these assholes are doing nothing about it. Big problem.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about a systemic problem. You're talking about how a company has so much money put into it and it's part of such a large structure of financial chicanery that it's just got to be held up. And if a few people die, then so what? Our freaking our pocketbooks look okay. Well, the stock will be saved, which is my whole point. Like the stock's going to fall. It's falling now. You could see these gaps that I put, these big blue squares right there. So unfortunately, and this is what's super, super unfortunate. For those of you in Algo Factory, if I were to flash to a higher time frames, right now that's the daily time frame. And by the way, all the viewers in the audience, don't worry about all that gobbledygook you see on the screen. That's something that you'll learn if you ever come to Algo Factory. It'll actually be super simple for you. Um, but I just want to show my people in Algo Factory something. I don't want to say what it is, but I'm going to flash it on the screen. It's super unfortunate that this happened during this time on this particular algorithmic indicator that you see right there. And those in Algo Factory know what that is on the screen. Okay. And when you have a bad thing happen, when you see this on that screen, then you know that price is going to drop hard. So that's on the weekly chart. That what you just saw on that screen, if you know what that indicator is and what that indicator says, and that's on the weekly chart, when you have super bad news, that's like, oh, short, 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 short. Like, and so anybody who is at Algo Factory who saw that happen, and that's kind of the indicator, the one indicator that I share with people on Algo Factories. I don't share anything. I don't tell people what my algo is made of. I don't say which indicators I use or anything like that. But that's the one I do share because it's kind of the linchpin to a lot of really good algos. So anybody at Algo Factory who was paying attention when that happened at Boeing and they saw that on the weekly, they would know that they could short all the way down from I'd say from 256 to 231. And I just did a really good video that is on the Twitter. If you're ever on X, on the timeline for Algo Factory, for Algo Cowboy, you will see one called Trading for Beginners. And it talks about, in that video, it's only a short 10-minute video, but it explains what it means to go short. And basically, it's the ability to profit as the stock prices fall, or whatever your crypto price or your Forex price, whatever you're trading. If something's falling, that's just as good of an opportunity to make money as it is when it's going up. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about trading. You have the opportunity, if something like this happens, if you get real bad news about a stock, like, I'm just going to guess that 70 or 80% or even 90 some odd percent of your regular, let's say, retail type traders, just your mom and pop that like to buy stocks, they're like, oh crap, I got to sell my stock. And then like they lose money, or at least they lose an opportunity to make money. But there is the ability to actually make money on this price movement to the downside. And anybody who got in short at about 260 down to 231, that is a 3 by 7. What is that? A 14% drop? That's massive. That's a lot of money to make, especially if you win it with any scale. So massive opportunity missed for those who are not in Algo Factory. They don't know what to look for. But that weekend gap down, this last bit is insane, bro. This is like, well, that's 243 close to 231. So that's that's 10% less. That's like a 6-7% drop just by like a basic estimation. I'm not doing the math at a calculator. I'm just kind of doing my head math real quick. But where would it go? Well, I'd say the first place price might drop to might be, let's see, I'm going to guess around 220. Actually, I'd say 210. 210 is a real good place where price might stop falling. It just really depends on how quickly they can like do some damage control. I mean, a lot of it's going to be headlines, but
it's going to be rough, man. Damage control for Boeing, it's going to be rough right now.
Everybody's got a bad taste for Boeing right now. FAA just grounded the entire 737 MAX bullshit.
Now they're not. That means that they're having income issues. Then not only are they only having the PR nightmare, but they're having income issues. Yep. So I would say, like, look, a really good place for if you have a kind of a catastrophic drop, then basically we're looking at where this pivot point is on the chart. So I'll go ahead and explain this. Price from back in 2021 really had a fall. And this was when I think it was around the time, like a few months into rates being hiked up. And you have this double bottom right here. And then price actually ramped back up to this high. And this high actually was correspondent with a pivot point up here as well. So you had this prior pivot point where price had already rejected and headed down. So it made a lot of sense for the price to kind of go back down, because it actually pivoted here at about let's see, $280 right there. Well, now it reapproached 280. It was up to 270, basically 268, and then it was already that indicator I showed you on the weekly chart on the higher time frame, which weekly is pretty high time frame. And when you have high time frame stuff, that's going to make a big impact. And so for the price to actually be approaching a pivot point that already exists, plus you had that high time frame indication on the indicators, that price might have to fall. And then you have this bad news. Let me tell you something. We're in the face of possible not collapse, but a strong contraction in a lot of equities prices. It could happen. We talk more about that in the private live lab. But long story short, if you combine this with a possible, maybe some Fed decisions that cause stocks to fall, I wouldn't be surprised to see Boeing get cut in half. I mean, it could happen. It might not happen. They could save it. They could do a lot of things. They could, there's a million things could happen. It could go up from here technically. I don't think it will. But we're not saying exactly what's going to happen. We just certainly don't give any kind of investment advice. But I would say if I were to go short on Boeing, I would probably let's take one more look at one more thing before I actually were to develop a target, because already it's kind of too late for the short-term targets to get in. It would be time to get in like last week for those. But let me go with the volume nodes on this just to see where a lot of trading happened. Yeah, I would look at price heading to about 210. So yeah, there's actually right now a decent move down from 230 to 210. That's a 10% fall. Now, of course, you got to really know what you're doing. Like just entering right now, price could head up on you, and actually going short is a little bit riskier in stocks because I should say going short in stocks is riskier than going long in stocks, is what I mean to say, because technically you can lose all your money. When you go long in stocks, even if your stock kind of really doesn't do well, there's always something to sell. But when you go short, it's a little different. You actually can lose all your money that way. Technically, it's relatively safe compared to a lot of other markets. But long story short, you got to know what you're doing. But if you were to short right here to 210, that's like a pretty reasonable move. But when you have such a strong gap down, there's a decent price that you'll see before it actually goes down. It may pop up and grab liquidity first and then head down. There's always that possibility. So you got to be ready. And you got to know what you're doing. And of course, I've got the QR code top left hand corner of the screen. So if you want to kind of know how I might do this, what type of formula I might use for this, you're seeing a little bit of it here, but there's a lot that I'm not saying. So head over, grab that QR code, zap that, go to www.algofactory.tech. Hey, what's up? We got Impress Vid in the house. Thanks for coming on. We got also here Cool Cat, Cool Cat is somebody who can speak on DEI. The rationale of the DEI folks is so bad. I have hired many of those four Govy agencies. It was brutal. So Cool Cat, who can speak on it for multiple reasons. If you're going to ask anybody about DEI, Cool Cat's the guy to talk. That he's saying it for you right there. And of course, Truckface, very saying he'll never fly a Spirit again. That Airbus cracked and howled like a Spirit. Yeah, dude, at this point, I'm just like, why do I want to fly anymore? I mean,
the maintenance issues. I mean, Spirit is such a low-cost airliner. It's terrible. I heard that they just got recently purchased, I think, by JetBlue. So hopefully there's some improvement there. So they're so low cost, a lot of times, man, it's like you don't know how these guys are skimping on maintenance. A lot of these guys will a lot of these airliners would actually fly their jets overseas for maintenance in Central and South America. So, yeah, it's a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah, and that's not to say that, mechanics down there are bad mechanics, but it's just like what type of oversight is going on in Uruguay? I don't know. Like, I'm not saying they're going to Uruguay. I'm just saying, like,
none of that. They're going to go to, like, Honduras or Guatemala for, like, for maintenance.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you don't know. There's no regulation, or I don't know. Maybe there is. I'm not familiar with the maintenance down there. I kind of feel
about aircraft maintenance is one thing where it's like every nut and bolt used on an airplane for maintenance has to be FAA approved and authorized. Every single nut and bolt, whether it's a bolt or a screw that you're using on an airplane, has to be certified from the FAA. Otherwise, it cannot go on that aircraft. That's here in the United States, and that costs money. I don't know how it is overseas when you're going to Guatemala and Honduras and getting your plane serviced over there. That's problematic.
That sounds problematic. I'm not saying it's problematic. I'm saying it sounds problematic. I'm not saying she's a crackhead. I'm saying she's crackish. Yeah. I miss Chris Rock from back in the day. 20 years ago, he was on top, bro. Chris Rock, funny as hell. Let's end this, bro. Let's go to the private and let's go ahead and take a look. Look, we're gonna look at some charts over in the private live lab. And if you want to see that private live lab, you see the QR code top left corner. I'm gonna actually flash it in the middle of the screen. Gorilla, can you give us that send off, bro?
Absolutely. Listen, guys, look, don't be sitting on the outside wondering if this is for you. You try Rocky Road ice cream, you try pistachio, you try skydiving. You don't try Algo Factory. You do Algo Factory. Join us 2024. The year of chaos is here. Are you going to make money this year? Are you going to get paid? Are you going to make a difference in your bottom line? Join us today. We're going to give you the crash course. Study your ass off with us. Help us let us train you, and you'll be absolutely profitable coming this new year. With that being said, Cowboy, let's get into the private room. Cowboy?